Hello YouTube. I just want to talk to you today about gender inequality and women empowerment. So from June to September of 2013, I went to India and spent some time volunteering with VSO on their ICS programme. And these are some of the things that I faced. I was quite naive before about gender inequality. And I'd never really properly thought about it until it was right there in my face, I guess. I also want to just really quickly say that these are my experiences from India, and I understand that these issues are faced in many countries, but this is just my personal experiences and thoughts on the matter. So, while I was over there, I worked on a maternal health project with another UK volunteer and two national volunteers. And so we went around rural villages and interviewed women who are mothers to try and reduce the maternal death rate and infant mortality rate. So before starting this project, we got a bit of a background on why the maternal health is so low and is so bad, and why there is infant mortality. And one of the things that we came across is that there's an actual law in India where it is against the law or illegal to find out the sex of your child before it is born. And this law is in place because it's apparent that many couples find out that they're carrying a female child and want to get it aborted because it is a female child and they don't want to have it, basically, which just is, it's just not very nice, I don't think. It's just, I don't really understand it, how you could love your child any less just because of its sex. And I'm so glad that the Indian government have put this law in place. But it also makes it so much more dangerous because these women who are pregnant and want to know the sex of their child, maybe they don't have much money and they want to make sure that they're having a boy, will go to a non-professional and will get examined, and obviously it's not safe, and these women either suffer complications or can die from this procedure. So it's just awful. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation, I guess, and it's just something I can't really wrap my head around. But we also, when we were going around these villages, we met lots of, like I said before, we met lots of women who had children. And in our questionnaire that we were asking, we asked the question how many children they already had, how many females, how many males, and how many children would they like in their life. And in almost all of the cases where these women had had children and all of them were female, they wanted more. And we met a woman who had, I think it was 5 girls already, and when asked the question, how many children would you like in your life, she replied with, until I get a boy. So this woman was from a rural village, and let's be honest, the money was quite sparse. They were living in a small house, and I just felt for these girls because, you know, this woman could have another 5 children and not have a boy, and these little girls are going to suffer for it, and they're going to have less food and less room and less opportunities in their life because their parents are going to carry on having children until they get a boy. And that kind of shocked us a little bit, as we'd never come across anything like that before. We were obviously working in a group, and we would go into the office quite often to show the person in charge of our work what we'd done so far. And we would sit down in a meeting and he would talk to us all in English, so we could all understand, and then he would talk to the national volunteers in Hindi so we couldn't understand what was being said. But we weren't really that worried about it because he would appear quite friendly and nice and would be smiling, until one day when the female national volunteer was quite visibly upset, and so we said, are you okay? What was said? And it turned out that when he'd been speaking to them in Hindi, he wasn't being very nice. And if things had gone wrong with our work, he would blame it on her. On one occasion, she missed half a day because she wasn't picked up from her house for work. And he said, "You're not getting paid for today," even though she had attended a meeting later that day. But he'd done it in a way that was almost sneaky. He would say things to her in Hindi, so myself and the other UK volunteer were unable to defend her or say, this isn't right, this is all our fault, or she shouldn't be talked to in that way. And it felt quite sneaky and not very nice. So as you can imagine, we weren't very happy about the way that she'd been treated, and so we went to talk to our personal supervisor about it. And she basically said that the national personal supervisor was treated in the same way in her workplace. And if she was to ask somebody to do something for her, she'd be ignored. And that basically women in the workplace in India have to be really careful with what they say and how they do things, because they can just be fired with no apparent reason, which obviously make their lives more difficult and will make it harder for them to get jobs in the future. Just because they're female, they're treated differently. There were also some other occasions with the same girl, one of which she had a heated discussion with one of the other national volunteers, who was male, and she basically defended herself against him. And that night, he announced to the whole dinner hall that he would not be talked to in such a way by a woman, and basically degraded her to the whole room, which was just not very nice. And she got quite upset, and started crying and went outside. And one of the males working for the NGO that we were with came over to her and basically patronised her and said that she was a little girl for crying. But unfortunately, it's not ending just there. And I was sent some statistics the other day. These are from Delhi. So these statistics are from 2013, from January the 1st to October 15th. So these are the reported cases. Obviously, there would be more that aren't reported, but 1,330 rape cases, 2,844 molestation cases, 2,906 kidnappings and abductions, 2,487 suffered cruelty by husband and in-laws, and 123 suffered death due to dowry. I just don't have any words. Like, how can women be treated like that just because they're female? Like, it just doesn't make any logical sense to me why women should be treated any differently and in such a disgusting way. So this video's got really long now, so I'm going to end it here. Thank you for watching. I don't want you to give money to any charities. I don't want you to change the world. I just want you to just strive for a world where women and men are treated the same. And just, if you're sexist now and you're watching this, just question yourself and ask yourself why. Why are you sexist? What makes us different? Why should women be treated in such a way? And if you're not sexist, then please just, if you see someone being sexist or you hear someone being sexist, just challenge them on it and just stand up for what you believe in. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and comment, and just share this video and get as many people watching as possible. Okay, love you, bye.